can't be an idealist and a capitalist, Asha. You gotta pick a side.
I think I can.
No, you can't. I'm telling
Arriving
you.
at your house,
Saved
Asha.
by my car.
Upgrade is a 2018 Australian-American cyberpunk film written and directed by Leigh Whannell and stars Logan Marshall Green, Betty Gabriel, and Harrison Gilbertson. The plot follows a quadriplegic man receiving an implant that can give him the ability to walk again and the chance to get revenge on the men who paralyzed him and murdered his wife in the year 2046. So I'd definitely been curious about this movie for the past 8 years or so. Even though I think I pretty much ignored it due to its, Blumhouse association. I've just been burned by that company a few too many times, I think you could say. Even though I watched shit like Night Swim and Imaginary, not that I expected them to be good, which they weren't. And in my opinion, Leigh Whannell is also, I would say hit and miss as a writer and a director. But he does occasionally deliver here and there. I mean, probably his best movie so far is this. Sadly, his Wolfman movie was, one of the biggest disappointments for me of the last few years. He is working on an Upgrade TV series, I guess, according to IMDb, so I'm hoping he can redeem himself with that. So yeah, this is a revenge story, which I'm, pretty much a sucker for, by the way, even if I haven't really covered, too many of them, so far, aside from, Dead Man's Shoes. That's the only one that comes to mind. The older I get, the more I just like seeing people brought to justice, whether it be lawful or not. And for me, at least Upgrade is a bit unique in the way that it blends, specific elements. We've got cyberpunk, revenge thriller, martial arts inspired action, slasher, slasher style kill scenes, and even bits of humor sprinkled in carefully. And it all works. And all of that overshadows what is essentially a sad and depressing story that Leigh Whannell had no interest in telling. Again, kind of unique. But don't get me wrong, it does have a few flaws. The setup is pretty generic. You've got Gray, played by Logan Marshall Green, as our lead, and I was nervous about that because I'd only known him as Holloway from Prometheus, and I hated him in it. But it's okay because he's much, much better here. The names of the characters here, though: Gray Trace, Aaron Keen, Asha Trace, and my personal favorite, Sark Branter. It's like very Futurama. Sark Branter. So the beginning of the film shows you that Gray is an auto mechanic, and it's cool that he'd been restoring an old muscle car, like an old 1970s muscle car, I think, for Aaron Keen, some famous tech guy. But everyone else drives, futuristic-looking cars, I guess what you'd expect. Not flying cars or anything like that, but more futuristic-looking stuff that, that we don't have right now. You get standard movie relationship stuff between Gray and his wife, Asha. Something that always bores me, when it comes off as super generic, as it almost always is in action movies since the beginning of time.
There are some benefits not having to keep your eyes on the road.
Oh, yeah? Mm-hmm. What should I keep my eyes on?
It's part of what separates average action movies from movies with emotional depth. And most of the first act feels pretty generic. So Asha goes with Gray to deliver the finished muscle car to Aaron Keen, and Asha is aware of him since, she works in tech as well. Aaron is like a tech prodigy guy, kind of like the way that people used to look at Elon Musk before we all realized he's a complete fucking idiot. But on the way home, their self-driving car malfunctions and crashes, and Gray and Asha are shot by thugs and left for dead. Gray wakes up eventually in the hospital paralyzed, but with not a lot of info from the police detectives. But he does get a visit from Aaron Keen, who offers him, one of his newly created STEM implants, device type things. It's like a device that manages control of all your human functions, so that Gray could walk again. He's pretty reluctant about it, as most people are pretty untrustworthy of new technology that. First of all, this technology is not even really out there yet, I don't think. So he reluctantly accepts, and it does work. The STEM chip also talks to you, inside your brain or whatever. So it's like a personal assistant, among other things. One of the first things it tells Gray is that it can identify one of the men who killed his wife, and that revenge would be possible. And this is where things just turn into a full-blown revenge thriller, but with some unique twists. Like, Gray wants justice, but he's not a killer. He doesn't want to murder anyone, which that alone makes Upgrade stand apart from most revenge stories. I suppose he justifies the killing since the STEM system takes full control of your limbs, so I guess it's only kind of you. Like, it's your body doing the things, but it's not really your mind backing it, if that makes any sense.
Oh, look, man, stay down, please. Please don't get up. Please don't get up. Please. Stay down, man. Just Sam, he's got a knife! Sam!
I can see that. We have a knife too.
You stabbed him! You're trying to piss him off? Okay. All right, so what's the plan? What are we doing? Stop him!
So, I mean, Gray is still technically paralyzed. If you were to remove the chip, he would not be able to walk. I think this is a pretty decently written story by Leigh Whannell, actually. There are some cool twists and turns, like I said, especially the ending. I mentioned some horror touches. This guy wrote Saw, after all, and those touches are pretty much just in the kill scenes because they're like slasher movie brutal with great practical gore effects, by the way. But overall, mostly I'm reminded of stuff like 90s Van Damme movies, RoboCop, and sure, there's a little bit of Blade Runner DNA in the mix because that's always unavoidable with these cyberpunk movies. All things considered, I liked Upgrade. Maybe my main complaint would be that I thought a lot of the villains weren't as interesting as they could have been. There's a scene where one of the main villains, who was artificially enhanced in a very like comic booky way, he would slide right into an X-Men movie, I think, and he kills a bartender with one of his abilities where he just sneezes. But all of the germ particles are like tiny microscopic metal spikes. So when the bartender breathes, them in, he just kind of slumps over. And that was a really frustrating scene for me because it was a chance to do something super cool with those good practical gore effects. I totally expected something crazy like he gets ripped apart from the inside, something like Hellraiser-esque. But they just dropped the ball on that. But it's one scene. I guess I shouldn't harp on it for too long. The world building was solid, but not super explorative or anything. But the color palette is pretty fun. Reds and greens and maybe some blues. Nothing original, but still cool, in my opinion. And, along with a pretty mindfucky ending. And with that said, I'm giving Upgrade an 8 out of 10. It's as good a cyberpunk movie as there was in 2018. And adds unique flair to the revenge film subgenre, assuming that's a thing. And I know that the sci-fi genre has been warning us about the dangers of AI ever since science has predicted it would happen, but Upgrade, handles it well, showing us that the worst kind of AI will be the kind that's packaged in a way that'll make us think that it's only here to help us lowly humans. Cheers, guys, and I'll see you at the multiplex.
Subscribe right now, please.